Hello everyone. Today we're just gonna simply do a recap on trading flow, specifically ETF SPY, which is tracking the return of the SPX index. So in the month of November, it went up. It starts with SPY start at 460. And at the very end of the November, it has a run in the mid months and then consolidate and then went down. So let's firstly we go to trading flow, put FPY, and I'm selecting November 1st to November 5th. So by this week, as we see on this week, it's slightly bullish. There is 80 million US dollar betting on the call, 63 or 64 million on the put. But we do notice there are close to $23 million is selling. The call are being sold, and the call I bought is a little bit less than the call being bought. And on the put side, they're pretty equal. You may notice that 18 plus 22 is much less than 80. That is because in the middle they are traded at the mid price. So there is no such a strong sentiment if the price is being traded at the mid. From this week, we look at our sentiment. Our sentiment for short term is 0 to 15 calendar days. Mid term is 15 to 60, and the long term is about 60 calendar days. After the end of November 5th, on that weekend, then we can say in the short term, SPY is strong, slightly bullish, but we do see some risk because we say slightly bearish on midterm, slightly bearish on long term. Let's put it back on November 5th. November 5th, which is this day, and the next Monday it gained a little bit, but not much. And then Tuesday, Monday drop. Tuesday and Wednesday dropped. Thursday, Friday came back. So within 15 days, it didn't really drop, which kind of makes sense because 15 days, that's 10 trading days, 10 bars. So it's still here, and it's somewhat accurate. It didn't say, okay, we are super bullish at this time, although we are making the all-time high, but on the trading flow sentiment, it is slightly bullish, but midterm, long-term, it's slightly bearish. So that's our signal, but that's not yet to, sell all your position. But we move on to next week, which is 8th to 12th. On this week, we do see some alarming signals, which is a lot more put than call, because last week is much more call than put. Then this is alarming signal because that kind of indicating a reversal. We have more calls being sold than bought, but in the meantime, there's more put being sold than bought. So people are betting the volatility that's going down. Like we can say that. But overall, because there is much more put, the sentiment gives short term slightly bearish, 38%. Midterm is neutral, but it's 48. 50 is perfectly neutral, so this is slightly bearish, which is not being even detected. But long term, we have slightly bearish. Let's move back to the candle. This is the 8th to 12, so after 12, so price dropped a little bit, slightly bearish, but the weakness being shown, but price is still going up. Remember that, like for this week, it shows some a little bit strength, but the price goes down, but later price went up. At the 12, like at this candle when it's closed, we have some alarming sentiment, shows short-term slightly bearish and long-term slightly bearish, but the market didn't crash at this time. It still went up a little bit. So that is alarming. I reduced some of my position. So now let's move on to the next week. On this week, the put and call are equal in terms of the amount. The long term become neutral, but the short term, like the midterm, becomes slightly bearish as well. Remember last week, midterm was neutral. So even though the call put premium, they are kind of equal, but the sentiment is a little bit smarter than simply tell you, okay, based on the premium. sentiment consider some other factors as well. And let's look at the premium in terms of put and call. So we do say it's a little bit neutral. In terms of call, there's 20 million, a little bit more than the call being sold. If you just simply look at the put being bought is 20 million, put being sold at 23. If you simply look at this, you will say, oh, that's a little bit bullish, right? Call being bought is more than call being sold. Put being bought less than put being sold, so this create upward force. But our sentiment says different. Sentiment says it's slightly bearish in short term and mid term. So the sentiment is a little bit smarter because it's more than simply adds the premium, because you can get all this at different competitor platforms. They will provide this, but our sentiment is our unique. We have spent a lot of time in developing the sentiment, and it works. So by the end of November 19th, we have short-term and mid-term slightly bullish. Slightly bearish, sorry. That is this day. So the price, you can say it's consolidating. We don't know what's gonna happen, but this is 19th, the second day, the Monday, 22nd, it went up, created a new high, but it suddenly changed its direction. And the short term, mid term, we all see what's happening recently. So now let's move on to the next week, 22nd to 26th. So this one definitely changed the tone for everyone. Because the put is twice or even more than the call volume, and the sentiment is just all bearish, and the number become much smaller, and its short term becomes strong bearish, right? Strong bearish, that means, yeah, this is a alert. Yeah, we have been reduced. I personally reduced my long position, and I bought SQQQ as well. Although I didn't all in, I only put like 10% of my portfolio for SQQQ, but I still reduced the risk. I kept my profit and reduced some drawdown on my portfolio overall. At the end of this week, we say it's bearish. It's we can even track the QQQ just to, because when all the sector, all the ETF, they are like all strong bearish. The market is changing its trend. So strong bearish for QQQ as well, and IWM. The IWM short term and mid term is extremely bad. It's zero. There's nothing could be worse than that. But the long term, which is, as I mentioned before, it's more than 60 calendar days. That's like 2 months later. It's slightly bullish. So this as so far as of today, we can say this is accurate. So that was by the end of 26. So you could argue that Monday went up a little bit, but well, it still dropped more, right? Like the Tuesday was dropped, Thursday was dropped. Today is a little bit gain. But overall, we sense this is a change in the sentiment. If I put on the QOQ, it's a kind of similar story because the market rebounded on Monday, but we are looking at a little bit longer term. Remember, as I said, IWM was extremely bad, and we noticed that when on Monday everyone went up a green candle, and IWM it dropped by 0.06%. So it's relatively weak than the others, and now it dropped even more. So overall, this sentiment has been giving leading indicator, or giving our forecast about what's about to happen based on the option activity, and it's so far been accurate. It gives where the trend goes, where the probability. Let's look at this week to today, which is December 2nd, and to see if sentiment been changing. So IWM still pretty bad, 100 million put versus only 20 million call. So yeah, in short term, I don't expecting we go to a bull market anytime soon, or being strong bullish anytime soon. But that could change. The money, the option, the traders, investors, they change their mind based on the news. if there is possibility that we see big call order coming in tomorrow or next week, and suddenly the market goes back to again. But that like we will be noticed that if we just checking the trading flow sentiment every day at the end of the day. So SPY still short term is strong bearish. It is pretty bad. There's 150 millions and only 50 millions are call. By the way, do notice there's more put sold than put being bought. But overall sentiment still gives like strong bearish. I don't want to be too pessimistic because sometimes the traders this reflects the traders, right? Like the people who purchase the call. And what's your mind? Like right now, short term they are really bearish, but long term and like long term is better than mid term. So we will go to consolidation. It's not the end of the world because as I mentioned this week compared to last week, we see some changes. Last week was still short term is bearish, but long term it was like slightly bearish. It's not like super buy. Yeah, so I hope this demonstrate the sentiment function in detail. Bye.